Hey guys, Justin here, aka J-Slink, coach of the Tustin Tyrannotars, and today I'm just going to be recording my summer Showdown games, talking through my plays and a little bit of the team building. So yeah, let's get right into it. So, as you can see, my draft is Coco Beedrill with the Volturn offense, then Fire Water Grass Core, Arcanine, Tapu Fini, Shaman. And the good part about that is all of those mons can be offensive and help Coco and Beedrill just run through teams with the momentum. Then I've got Bronzong, Piloswine, just really solid. Walls helps patch up some of the weaknesses like the ground weakness, and then Braviary, which not my favorite mon to use. I actually didn't draft this myself. I replaced Yost, I think it's pronounced, and he couldn't make it, so he just gave me this draft. But yeah, it's a really good draft, so shoutouts to him. The offense, like Coco Beedrill with Arcanine Shaman, it's just so hard for 8-mon draft to deal with the momentum. So yeah, we try to use that to our advantage. So the first person we're playing is Kraft, I believe his name is. So his draft is Latios, Mega Scizor, Jellicent, Aromatisse, Powdon, Raikou, Relum, and Rapidash. So right off the bat, Coco Beedrill just runs through most of this team. I mean, he doesn't have great answers, because like Scizor can wall Beedrill, but I just U-turn right into Coco, and then he's really pressured. The only thing that's kind of annoying for that is Powdon. Rindaho Powdon's a pretty obvious bring, so I have to play around that a bit. So let's go to the team. So like I said, Coco Beedrill, these two are just gonna run through him. Calm Mind with Farium Z helps me deal with some of his bulk, like the Hippo or AB Raikou. Beedrill, I've got Pursuit for Latios, and then I wanted Toxic for the Powdon, but then I decided that I might as well just go Toxic Spikes instead, because it hits so much of his team, and his defoggers are not, if I keep up momentum, he'll never get a defog off cleanly. So then I have defensive Arcanine, Rocky Helmet, Mega Scizor. Counter is pretty standard. Fini with HP Fire for the Scizor. Really should have been defog over Taunt, probably. Taunt stops people from healing up, so it's not bad. The Aromatisse is immune to it, so keep that in mind. Piloswine, fully Spadef, it's going to be my Raikou counter. Also deals with just the majority of his team. Ice Shard from Latios. Toxic lets me wear down his walls. And yeah, it's just a really solid bring. And then finally I've got Spadef Shaman, another Raikou answer, and just a really solid bring against him. HP Fire from the Scizor. Beats the Latios, beats the Jellicent, beats the Powdon, beats the Raikou. So the matchup's really solid, so I feel pretty comfortable going into this game. So let's see. So he ends up bringing this 6. So I can just lead Fini, predicting the Powdon lead. If he leads Scizor, I have HP Fire, so this is pretty safe. So yeah, if he leads Scizor, I just go straight for the HP Fire. There's no reason not to. Now, his Raikou isn't shiny, which is a mistake on his part. You should always make your Raikou shiny, because now I know he doesn't have Aura Sphere, and Spadef Piloswine is just extremely safe. So yeah, Shadow Ball does 13, and I can just get up some easy rocks. So yeah, he goes Scizor, and I have this Arcanine's only purpose really is to switch into this thing. So he knocks off my Rocky Helmet, which is a little bit annoying. It's going to be really hard for that Scizor to heal. So yeah, looking at his team, Powdon was the only thing he could switch in there. So it's pretty easy double into Fini, because even if we went Rapidash, Fini was fine. Right, so I actually forgot that Misty Terrain ran out because of the sandstorm. covers it up, which is kind of annoying, but definitely did not expect him to stay in there. So I was hoping to Nature's Madness the Raikou, but I mean, you know, getting to Powdon weekend is not bad, even if it costs me a Toxic on the Feeny. So at this point, I just go for a taunt to stop him from healing up as he goes Aromatisse. So good play on his part. Probably should have gone for Surf, to be honest. But actually, I don't think I have Surf this game. So I could go straight into Beedrill here, but Psyshock from Aromatisse would actually OHKO it. So he did reveal Leftovers, but I don't know if maybe he's got like some special attack investment to OHKO Beedrill. So I do go Shaman first to try to scout that out. Judging from Moonblast damage, he doesn't have the special attack investment to OHKO Beedrill, and he wouldn't go for Psyshock here anyway. So now I go straight into Beedrill as he throws up a Wish. Now I realize at this point that that's a misplay, because now that the Powdon, which is sitting at 46%, can come in for free and heal up to full, whereas if I stayed in the Shaman, I could have played around that better. But there's no point in going for attacking move here because the Hippo is just going to get the Wish. So I just go for T-Spikes, but strangely enough, he just goes for Protect, which doesn't really make any sense for me. That was like his best chance of getting the Hippo back up, because now I can just go for a U-turn. He has nothing to switch in. Like, yeah, the Scizor can take it, but like I said before, OHKO is just going to come right in, and he has no answers. The Hippo's too weak at this point. So he goes what's, at this point I'm pretty sure is an AV Raikou, but I can just set up a Calm Mind in his face. I have some bulk investments, so nothing he has can kill me. And at this point, it's pretty much the end. I can just, you know, Z move that. He goes Latios, and I should have scouted for Scarf maybe, but even if he was Scarf, there's no way I'm losing that game. Like Feeny, Piloswine, none of his remaining Mons can beat Piloswine. So, and funnily enough, that was actually a misclick. I should have just stayed in with Coco and cleaned up, but I accidentally went Piloswine. But it doesn't matter. Like, I can skip these turns. I just spam EQ. You know, gets a Toxic off. Powdon, it's not taking it. I have Icicle Crash. You know, EQ the Rapidash. Yeah, it's just as soon as that Toxic Spike was up, and my offense was just too much. It was a really good matchup, so that really helped me out there. So now we move to top 16, where my opponent is OldManTup with a pretty threatening draft. He's got, you know, Victini and Mamoswine, which I don't have great answers for. He's got a really good Mega Beedrill answer. Fortress. Feeny's really annoying for me. Z Salamence is a huge threat. And I make actually some pretty big blunders in terms of team building here. So let's go to my team. This Coco set just demolishes him. Roost Calm Mind sets up on Manectric, as well as the Feeny, and even the Fortress, depending on what he brings. Like, maybe not EQ Fortress, but like, as soon as I get up some Calm Minds, he really has no switch-ins to this thing at all. So this is what I plan to be my win con. Now, the first big mistake I made was I ran Adamant Beedrill Speed Creeping Tornadus. But if I was max speed Beedrill, I could have outsped a Scarf Mamoswine, which, as you'll see in the following game, would have been huge. So yeah, Pursuit for the Victini, and it's a good set. I just really brought the wrong spread here. I have Air Balloon Arcanine because Mamoswine is such a threat. Tapu Fini can only switch in a few times. Piloswine doesn't really do that much back, so I really felt that I needed another answer for it, so have the Air Balloon to hopefully avoid a sweep. Close Combat to OHKO Mamoswine, and also Will-O-Wisp for the Salamence. And then this is the second big mistake I made. I put Max Spadef for some strange reason. It was just completely on accident, because this was supposed to be my check to Victini, to Mamoswine, to Salamence. All of them are mostly physical, so that Spadef is going to be really annoying for me. Yeah, that's just an error on my part. I have HP Fire for the for the fortress, so, and defog, so hopefully I can keep hazards off my field, because I feel like, yeah, Rock's fortress is definitely going to be coming. Now, Pile of Swine, pretty standard. I'm Fizz Death to counter, not counter, but help me deal with Victini, Mammoth Swine, Salamence. I have Reflect just in case he's Yashi Berry Salamence, but as you'll see in the game, I really should have brought Roar. Yeah, my team building on this one's a little bit spotty. And finally, I've got Oka Berry, Bronzong, Earthquake. It's gonna be my main switch into Mammoth Swine. And yeah, a little bit of Spadef just in case he brings Blue Flare Victini. So yeah, let's get into the game. So I just lead Tapu Fini, expecting him to lead Mammoth Swine, and I get that horribly wrong because he calls me out with the Manectric lead. So the Pile of Swine is just extremely obvious here, but you know, I don't feel like making a bold play turn 1, so I just go Pile of Swine, and he gets me with the Trick Scarf or Switcheroo Scarf, which is just really bad for me because I completely overlooked Manectric in team building because I'm like, oh, I have Pile of Swine, but now Pile of Swine's tricked, and Manectric is looking like a big threat. So I might as well just get up rocks. He goes Fortress. I go into my Fortress counter, which is Fini, because of his own rocks. So kind of a funny exchange here. We both go for our hazard removing options. I mean, I have Arcanine, Beedrill. He has Victini, Salamence. We both need rocks off the field. So at this point, I'm just going to go for some HP Fires. Weaken this thing. He gets up rocks. I try to like play some mind games to defog HP Fire. My hope is that he'd end up with only spikes up instead of rocks, but like right here, he gets up rocks. So I'm hoping I defog as he go for spikes. But you know, he's not that dumb. You know, he's just going to spam rocks. So just kill him off with HP Fire here. And you know, hopefully I can defog later in the match. So even though I'm Choice Scarfed, it's still Pile of Swine, still my only switch into this thing, so I have to go Pile of Swine. And yeah, he's making smart plays, going Flamethrower. I can only take a few more, so at this point I go into Coco. Thunderbolt's gonna hurt, but I can set up some Calm Minds and hopefully roost back up. So thankfully no crit there. Go for a few roosts, and at this point I think he Volt Switches, yeah, and he goes right into his Mammoth Swine. So I do have the Shuka Berry, but I need to be at around 80% to take it, so I need to scout for Scarf, obviously. I mean, Scarf is just the best set this game, so I go Bronzong, predicting the EQ, and he goes straight for a knockoff. I mean, talk about a ballsy play. If I just stayed in Coco there, there was no way I could have lost. I just won right then and there. But yeah, he goes right for knockoff as he goes into Bronzong. And this is getting kind of bad because I'm losing, like, without Bronzong, Mammoth Swine is just such a threat, and he's weakening my team a lot more than I'm weakening his. So at this point I have to start making some plays. So I expect him to go into Manectric, expecting my Fini, so I just go straight for EQ here, and that works out. So I catch the Manectric, but it doesn't kill because Bronzong is weak. So I need to keep that thing alive. This is a Mammoth Swine check. But he Volt Switches, and he leaves me in range of rocks. And now things are going downhill. Tapu Koko was supposed to be my win con. It looks like it's going to be going down here, but I'm pretty sure he's going for knockoff at this point. EQ is just, like, it just lets Bronzong in. So I go straight into Tapu Fini to defog the rocks and hopefully let Coco roost up at a later point. So yeah, I take the knockoff, which is honestly not great. It would have been really helpful to have those leftovers. But yeah, I go for Surf there because just in case he wanted to get cheeky and like go to Manectric on my defog. I didn't want to let that happen, so go for Surf. At this point, I need to defog because I have 2 rock weaknesses and a Coco at 10%. But he goes for sub, and at this point I could easily lose right here, right now, because he's won 2 speed ties in a row. But I mean, I didn't know it was a speed tie at this point, so I thought he was just faster. So I could have easily lost here. But luckily it works out so that I lose this speed tie, but I win the next one so that he ends up with no sub here. And at this point, this is the first of many 50-50s this game. I could go hard Coco on his sub, which is ideal, but if he surfs on my Coco, then I pretty much lose. I mean, not lose, but it would be better for him, because Beedrill is not gonna be around to like, I can't really revenge this thing too well because Mamoswine comes in and I'm losing answers to that pretty quickly. So I go hard Coco here, expecting him to sub, and he does. So I have to sack Coco here just to break a sub on a Feeny, which is not good because this thing was so good against the rest of his team. I guess with the Mamoswine, not really. So yeah, no choice but to go Beedrill here. He just sacks his Manectric, it's not that useful anymore. And he goes Mamoswine, and at this point he's been going for knockoff like every time, so I'm thinking he might go for EQ on the Beedrill. So I go Bronzong, and he goes right for a knockoff again. So I'm not getting these calls right, but now that he's locked in knockoff, I can at least lose my Scarf on this Mamoswine. Get up rocks again, as he goes straight into Feeny. So I can't let the thing set up at all. I have to go hard Beedrill, because if it gets up a sub and a Calm Mind, then my whole team loses. So right, he goes straight for sub, but I can take any hit from it. I can't get burned in Misty Terrain, so I'm safe here. And now he has to switch into a Poison Jab. So he goes Victini and lives on 9. Now, he has Scarf Mamoswine, so there was really no reason for him to have Scarf Victini, but I was pretty afraid of it, so I decided to sack off Bronzong here. It's probably a misplay. And yeah, so he goes for Power Up Punch twice. So I was gonna... I looked this up. Victini does get Quick Attack, so that could have been really bad for Beedrill, so I don't want to reveal Balloon Arcanine, but I kind of have to at this point. I just go for an E-Speed to, you know, not have to deal with Quick Attack shenanigans. And yeah, that's Victini down. So now, you know, every time he brings in Feeny, I have to go Beedrill, because nothing else on my team can actually break a sub consistently. I don't have Wild Charge, I don't have Roar and Piloswine, so I get Beedrill back in, and yeah, this was another 50-50. If he stayed in with Tapu Fini while I U-turned and got up a sub, I lost. But if he went Mamoswine on the Poison Jab, it was also a really bad spot for me, but luckily, I get a huge crit, put it in range of rocks, so that was a really big swing in momentum for me. So because I know at this point he can't switch out, so I can safely go into Arcanine. I don't need the balloon anymore. And yeah, he just goes for Ice Shard, just in case I was max speed Beedrill. So here's the predicament at this point. If I can just go for an E-Speed and kill this Mamoswine, but if he goes into Tapu Fini, afterwards I can't break that thing's sub, so it could potentially set up and win. So actually, the only way I can win this is to intimidate it enough and set up a Reflect so that Beedrill can kill it. That way, it doesn't let Tapu Fini in afterwards, because if I kill it with anything else, I'm just going to lose to sub Tapu Fini. So here's what I do. I go... I thought it would take multiple Intimidates, but it actually only takes one Intimidate and Reflect to let Beedrill with an Ice Shard. So at this point, I'm just sacking Piloswine to get Beedrill in safely. If he did go Tapu Fini on any of these turns I'm essentially wasting, then he won. But I feel like he didn't really expect Beedrill to live even under Reflect, so he just kept going for Ice Shard. See, I'm just wasting turns, going for Box, going for Reflect, just making sure I don't kill it. So yeah, it works out nicely so that I get a Reflect on the turn before I die. And now I can bring in Beedrill, and live the Ice Shard on 5, and I don't let Tapu Fini in. Right, so now he has to go Salamence. Now I could U-turn here, but it wouldn't make any sense, because the damage I get would be whatever, it doesn't make a difference, and I just risk getting killed by Scarf Salamence. So I just hard switch right into Arcanine as he goes for Dragon Dance. So at this point it all comes down to I sacked Pileswine, predicting him to be Yashi. So if he sees Salamence, this could be a little bit bad. But I do have Will-O-Wisp. But yeah, as I see, he does crit the Earthquake for the Reflect, so I guess I don't have Will-O-Wisp. So now I just have to hope he's not Z-Fly, and just go for Moonblast, and he is probably Yachi Berry. I mean, I never confirmed it, but it's the only thing that makes sense. So now, of course, to end this game, there has to be another 50-50. If he wins the speed tie and gets a Calm Mind as I Moonblast, he can get up a sub, then I can't break the following turn. I can't break the sub. He can kill me with Moonblast and then have a sub up for Beedrill and I lose. At the same time, if I go Beedrill, like hard Beedrill right now, and he goes for sub, I still probably lose. So, but the thing is, if I stay and go for Moonblast, and I win the speed tie, then I win no matter what. So I figure that's my best chance. So yeah, I just stay in Moonblast. Thankfully, I win the speed tie. And it didn't end up mattering because he went for sub instead of Calm Mind, predicting the Beedrill switch. So as you see, looking at the roll, it says 25.4%. So I would have broken that sub and won the game regardless of the speed tie. So great game to Tuck. Made some mistakes in team building that made this battle a lot harder than it needed to be, but he was making like amazingly risky plays that worked so well for him. The Mamoswine going for knockoff all those times, tricking turn 1. I guess that one's not that risky. Maybe that's a really obvious play. But yeah, he really fought back. And yeah, you know, a lot of people were underestimating OldManTup, but you know, here he really shows to himself to be a really good battler. He easily could have taken this game if I didn't get that crit from Mamoswine. So yeah, great game to him. So now we are on top 6. No, this is top 8 now. So my opponent is Jores. I don't know if that's how you say it. That's how I'm gonna say it though. With an absolutely disgusting draft of, he's got Celesteela, he's got Manaphy, Landorus, Mega Absol, and here we go. Just all these giant threats. Even the slacking is kind of scary because I don't have great switch-ins to like a banded slacking. But I mean, realistically, I'm expecting, you know, the first 6 to come. Like Gallade and slacking don't really do much to me. So I actually do not bring Mega Beedrill this game, simply because it loses to Scarf Landorus. Sucker Punch Absol does a million. Celesteela just counters every set I can think of. So it's just not, I mean, Manaphy lives and Oko can be back with Psychic, everything's that, so it just doesn't really capitalize on any of his mods. So for the first time I'm leaving that thing in the back. So I'm bringing a Magnet Tapu Koko, just because I just want to spam Thunderbolt. And then I do have Wild Charge as well, because that Oko's the Nihilego, whereas Thunderbolt doesn't. Then I have sort of a bulky offensive Arcanine Adamant, because his Flare Blitz switch-ins are just not that good. Nihiligo's taking a lot. Manaphy doesn't get recovery, and it's just really a detriment to him, because unless in Koko for free. So it's not for free, but I can catch up with Koko, put a lot of pressure on his team. So yeah, Koko, Arcanine are going to be like main ways of winning this game. Then I have Spadef, Rindo, Tapu Fini. It's my main Manaphy counter. I have Haze to you know, live an Energy Ball +3 haze and then still be able to get off move bars and Nature's Madness. Then Pile Swine. Ice Shard's going to be a huge deal this game because of that Landorus, and it's Spadef, so it's also a really good check to Nihiligo. And I also have Roar, so if Manaphy wants to set up, I can just roar it out. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know why I brought Light Screen. I was missing a 4th move and I had like 30 seconds, so I just put that on there for no reason. In hindsight, Icicle Crash was far better, but you know, when you have 15 minutes, you don't always make the best decisions. So, right, Cobra Bronzong this week with HP Ice. This is my main way to deal with Landorus. Toxic to wear down most of his team, and you know, Gyro Ball Stealth Throw. Then I have a Charty Berry Bulk Up Braviary, which can actually set up on his Celesteela if I play it right. So let's see how this goes. Right, so I just lead it off, I think, with Coco. No, I lead it with Bronzong, right, just to get up rocks. And he leads off with Landorus, so that works out well. Now I actually don't go for rocks here because Delmise is coming in, so rocks is just kind of a useless play. So I go for HP Ice, hoping maybe he'd go for like a knockoff, and if he does go Delmise, get some chip damage. So he U-turns. I'm pretty just, it looks like a Scarf Landorus at this point, and that does absolutely nothing. So he's bulky, Spadef, Delmise to deal with Tapu Koko, which makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, but I have Arcanine, so I just go straight into it, and he lands a Toxic on me, which is just really bad, because this is one of my biggest win cons, and I got Toxic turn 2, so, you know, we're gonna have to play around that. I do have Morning Sun, so it's not the end of the world, but... So, I double into Tapu Koko here, expecting Manaphy, and he goes straight into Landorus, which would have taken at least 70 from Flare Blitz. So at this point, I'm getting a little flustered because, I mean, turn 1, he predicts me well, turn 2 he predicts me well, now turn 3 predicts me again. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is the type of player to predict like every turn. So I've got an obvious Bronzong switch in, he's going to go for knockoff. So I go Tapu Fini, and he hits me with an Earthquake, and he does a ton. So at this point, I mean, he's starting to tilt me, to be honest, because like the Landorus straight into Arcanine play, I don't like that play, and then he Earthquakes when Bronzong is so obvious. Like I just can't get a read on this person. So I do double into Arcanine there because expecting the Delmise, and this time I'm like, okay, I don't know what he's gonna do. I'm just gonna go straight for a Flare Blitz, you know. And this time he just goes straight into Manaphy, and I just can't get a single read on this guy, so he's making like really strange plays. So now he goes straight into Landorus again. And what was that even trying? I guess he was trying to catch the Koko, but I mean, he's playing this Landorus so aggressively, and it's his only answer to a lot of my threats. So I just don't, I can't really predict this guy properly. So. Right, so I mean, the U-turn is extremely obvious there. If I stayed in with Fini, he'd gone Delmise, put me in a bad spot. So I go Braviary to lure in the Celesteela because I can actually set up on it. So yeah, he goes Celesteela, and I sub on the Leech Seed, and now I can start, you know, going for bulk ups and stuff. He breaks it with Heavy Slam, but I can just set up another bulk up so he can't break my sub anymore. Now at this point, I can take a power. I am Charty Berry, so I can take a Power Gem and do 90% with Brave Bird. But I decide it's better just to go Bronzong because it's Spadef. It can eat up any hit, and there's really no reason not to. Like I'll save the health on Braviary for later time. So I go for rocks here, and at this point, I have an Arcanine, I have a Braviary. I feel like he has to go for Rapid Spin. Like any of his, like Braviary could just come in and take any other move, or Arcanine. So I go for the Toxic to try to wear this thing down, and he goes straight for a Shadow Claw. He crits me too. I don't know if that could matter, probably didn't. But I mean, this is where I start to go like full on tilt. I just start rushing my plays. I stop thinking as much because it's just really frustrating to get predicted like this every turn. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna go Braviary setup. He stays in, not fearing the Brave Bird. Okay, I roost. I'm at a decent amount of health now, so maybe he's gonna fear the Brave Bird now. Sub, and nope, he just keeps staying in. So I go for another roost, which is such a bad play because the Toxic is very obvious there. So after he lands the Toxic on my Braviary, I calm down. I stop. I'm like, okay, I need to start thinking like, how am I gonna win this game? So I need to think about each play more because I basically just threw away this Braviary in the last 5 turns for no reason. It's useless now essentially. So here he's gonna go Celesteela. So I know that much, but I don't feel like doubling into Arcanine. I just go for a Brave Bird, get a little bit of chip. I mean, the double is just needlessly risky because I can just go Arcanine now and not worry about pretty much anything. I don't think he'd go for EQ. I don't even know if he has it. So I get an Arcanine and I double to Coco this time, predicting the Manaphy or Protect. So that works out. So now I'm getting some offensive momentum back. Go for a U-turn on the obvious either Delmise or Landorus. Go back into Arcanine. And now I just go for a Flare Blitz because I feel like he feels like he's getting caught in a cycle and needs to break it. So I go for Flare Blitz, and he goes straight into the biggest threat to my team, and it just drops. So that's the drawback of playing so risky. I feel like my opponent was making some really solid plays, but I mean, if you just keep making risky plays like that, eventually you're going to get something wrong. And while the crit was unfortunate, it did put him in range of extreme speed. So I mean, it put him really low, so it wasn't the biggest deal. So now that Landorus is gone, I can really start pulling this back. He brings in Heligo. I have an extremely safe play in the final spot. So I'll just go straight that. And the switch out is extremely obvious, so I go for a Roars, getting some hazard damage on things. And it goes into Delmise, which is not what I wanted to see, but Manaphy and Delmise were bad there, so it's not like that was unlucky. So I go into Braviary. I'm really just, it's pretty useless at this point, so I can just switch it in to Delmise, Celesteela, and sack it off. But I do take this opportunity to go into Arcanine, because at this point I'm sure he's not going to go for it. Like, I don't think he has it, and I can take the opportunity to go for a Morning Sun here, because every single bit of health on this Arcanine is going to be crucial, because I need to be able to go for Flare Blitzes and not die to recoil. So I only gained around 20% in that whole exchange going for Morning Sun, but it's definitely worth it. So obviously I can't stay in, Toxic's wrecking up. I just decide to sack off Braviary here. He goes Manaphy. So yeah, Braviary's gone, but it wasn't doing anything anymore, so bring in Coco. I go for a Wild Charge just because I feel like he might be super deaf, so Wild Charge would do more even though I max special attack. Also, if he goes in Heligo, like a Scarf and Heligo to get up a Thunderbolt, then Wild Charge is better. So yeah, he ends up, I don't know how bulky he was, but Wild Charge is just going to obliterate that thing through a Baton. So I U-turn straight into Arcanine here. This is another opportunity to get some health back with Morning Sun, but I think here I actually go for a Flare Blitz, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So the Celesteelas. And yeah, because I calced it and I could live the recoil from Flare Blitzing anything on his team, so might as well get up the damage. And if he does go Celesteela, I can still Morning Sun the turn after. Remain at an okay amount of health. And be able to Flare Blitz something in the future. So I go Coco here. Nothing he went there, nothing he could have went for there would have killed me. So I don't really care about the health on this Coco. I just go for some. I don't know why I went for Wild Charge there. Thunderbolt's better. Yeah, okay, go for Thunderbolt. Just get rid of the cells. So at this point, I want to keep Coco around just in case that's not Scarf from the hill ago. I can just kill with Wild Charge. So I scout for Scarf by going Piloswine. Yeah, Piloswine's a really safe switch anyway. So the way he's playing it, I really thought it was Scarf, but he ends up going for a Power Gem, feeling he's not Scarf. Right, so the only reason I went for Ice Shard is because I don't have Ice Skull Crash for some reason, and I really thought Delmine was going to win. But at this point, it's pretty obvious he's just sacking off a minute ago, so I kill that thing with Earthquake. And now all I have to do is not saps to set up for free. So I just go straight for EQ, tries the Swords Dance, and get off a ton of damage. Right, so he out prioritizes my Ice Shard. But I have E-Speed, and Arcanine is just going to clean this up. I have enough health so that there's no way he can stall out the toxic turns. I just go Flare Blitz here, and then something's dying. So that's going to be a good game. Right, so this is just a good example of how you have to approach like frustrating games. The more you like get frustrated and try to rush through things, the worse you'll probably end up doing. So you just have to slow down. I just really capitalized on his weakness to Arcanine and pull out a win. So now I am in, I believe, the top 4. My next opponent is Illusion with a pretty threatening draft. He also has the Tapu Koko, which is a huge threat to pretty much any draft. He doesn't have the best answers to Beedrill, but Gligar is going to be very annoying for me. So, I mean, I do have this HP Ice Tapu Koko, but yeah, it only does like 51%. So if he's at full, he can just EQ me, kill me, and then roost back up later. So Gligar is definitely going to be a big issue this game. So once again, the Koko Beedrill core is coming. Physical attacker, special attacker, with Electrium Z, just very standard stuff. I have knockoff for Metagross and Gligar, Aerial Ace to do as much as I can to Mega Heracross. Sadly enough, even with Aerial Ace, I don't kill Mega Heracross because that thing's ridiculously bulky. But yeah, it's still doing more than Poison Jab, so why not? Then I have offensive Arcanine yet again. This thing is putting in so much work. This time an Expert Belt variant. This Flare Blitz which is pretty bad. I just have to weaken Gligar and then this whole team gets smacked with Flare Blitz. Snorlax takes like 70 to 80% from close combat, so yeah, Arcanine is putting in a lot of work. And then it can Toxic the Gligar too, so this is going to be, a big element in my game plan here. Alright, I've got Feeny. This is my Gligar answer. Just taunt Nature's Madness, wear it down. It also does decently against most of his other threats, like Metagross or Hydreigon. I've got Fizdef Shaman here. This is my Tapu Koko answer. I expected him to be physical with Brave Bird, which is why I went Fizdef. And then I have a little bit of a strange set. I didn't bring Grass Stab, but I felt like Earth Power and Air Slash were necessary. Because if you notice, I have no Mega Heracross switching. So I need everything on my team to, be able to beat it 1v1. If this thing doesn't deal with Mega Heracross, then it just becomes a liability as Mega Heracross switches in, gets a kill. And then finally, I have Scarf, Tailwind, Brave Bird. No, what? Scarf, Tailwind, Braviary. There we go. The idea is to get a Tailwind off, Suicide Tailwind into Arcanine, or possibly one of these things. But these things are fast enough, mostly for Arcanine. It's also a decent revenge killer, and I can get me momentum with U-Turn. Like, I can revenge kill, like, Hydreigon, Tapu Koko, stuff like that. I can revenge kill her. across. It's also my only mon faster than Tapu Koko, so it can help clean up if necessary. So, let's get into the game. So, I'm just gonna lead Tapu Koko here. There's nothing he can lead that's really bad for me. See, I can use Mega Hair across. Oh, there's no way he stays in because Brave Bird demolishes this thing. So just go straight for a U-turn. As he brings in Gligar, which is completely safe. So right, I go Feeny here, and it's pretty much a free Nature's Madness. And okay, he goes for a U-turn now. Normally, I'm not the type of person to like get pissed off at someone else's plays, because you know, plays in Pokemon are pretty subjective. You know, what you think is like overly risky and stupid. If it works, you know, someone can say it's a good play. So I just tend to avoid that type of thought. But this was just a garbage play. Let's be honest. U-turn would, like, what does it give you? What is the purpose? It gets you 4%, which leftovers is going to be healing right back up. I'm clearly not switching out in this scenario here. So why would he go for U-turn? And furthermore, if Nature's Madness landed, then his biggest answer to Arcanine, Mega Beedrill, Tapu Koko, and Braviary would be too weak to wall those things, and then I'll just run over him. Like, what is his answer to Arcanine if this thing's at 45%? I just don't really understand that play at all. So, you know, he gets it off, goes into Cosmo. Now, at this point, I do have taunt, so I don't want to stop Rocks, I want to stop Pummeling. And he just like 47% to attack with Feeny and Psychic. So, he's clearly choice specs. And now's when I look at my team and realize I don't have a Psychic Resist. Shaman's Fizz Death, can't really switch that in. So, I decide just to kind of make this a 1-for-1 trade. Get off a Nature's Madness, and then a Moonblast, leaving this thing around 20 to 25%, depending on his investment. So I put Nature's Madness, and he crits this up. So, would have been nice to have this thing in range. Things like Arcanine and Braviary, but I mean, let's look at the scenario here. If Gligar was at 45%, this thing was at 25%. What's his counterplay to Tapu Koko? Gligar's in HP Ice range. Nothing else is. I mean, his own Tapu Koko is his only chance at switching in. So, I mean, he's just playing his walls, which he desperately needs, so reckless. It's just very annoying. So, but yeah, I get a free U-turn here with Beedrill. And he reveals Rocky Helmet Gyarados, which is a little bit annoying, but no recovery. It can only switch in a few times, and as soon as I wear it down into anything else, it's pretty much going to die to knockoffs. So I get an offensive Arcanine here, and if that Gligar was down, I could just Flare Blitz, but I feel like I'm forced into a Toxic here because Gligar is such a good switching. But he goes straight into Snorlax, I guess predicting the Toxic, which is fine because I mean he I don't know this yet, but he is Facade Rest, so this is a good Toxic Absorber. But I mean, close combat is 75%, so I feel like he would scout for that. I go into Gligar, or maybe he's like Chople EQ or something. So I feel like Shaman's a pretty good mid-round play, either for the EQ or for the Gligar. But he reveals the block, which is just really bad because I don't have Seed Flare, and I don't have Leech Seed, and my strongest move to hit him is Earth Power. So at this point, it's not looking pretty. So I go for a Toxic, just in the off chance he doesn't have Rust. I mean, one can always hope, right? So go for Toxic, and he just starts setting up Curses, and there's really nothing to stop it. So the general strategy here is just to use as many Earth Powers as I can to lower his death to a point where Tapu Koko can just revenge it. So I'm going to skip through some turns. It's just me going for Earth Power over and over again. He's going for Curse, he's going for Rest. So let's just skip through this. So at some point I'm going to run out of Earth Powers. Okay, so now I'm going for Air Slash because I'm out of Earth Powers. And I got 2 Spit F drops and 16 Earth Powers, which really isn't hacks. That's like the expected number of Spit F drops to get. So that's good because now Coco can revenge it. And now I've got nothing to do but just to spam Air Slash, you know, hope for some crits, hope for some flinches, so see what happens. He gets, I mean, because I'm Fizz Def, he actually can't break me very easily. So yeah, I go for Synth, he goes for Rest. Okay, need some flinches. He goes for a Curse there, and I get 1 flinch, I just need 1 more, and he gets off a Rest, okay. Okay, 1 flinch, 2 flinch, and a crit, which is just, I mean, I can't say that's not huge because Shaman can still put, even though it's out of Earth Powers and it's now walled by Coco and Metagross, it can still put in a lot of work, as you're gonna see. So yeah, I mean, I guess I would call it pretty even, considering like the Gligar and the Heligo are a lot healthier than they should be. So, and I could have revenged Snorlax with Coco, so yeah, not the end of the world, but yeah, definitely a big swing in my favor with that Hex. So, I'm just bringing Arcanine. I'm pretty sure there's nothing he can do to me because he's max Fizz Def, so even EQ is just not going to be doing a lot of damage. So, at this point, I'm just going for, he's shown that he doesn't want to switch in Gligar, meaning to me that he's defog and not immunity, because otherwise, if he was immunity, there's just literally no reason to, you know, not just switch that thing in. It takes like 30 from Flare Blitz, so yeah, he sacks Necrozma off. Now at this point, I need a few things to win. I need to Toxic this Gligar. I need to bring Metagross into knockoff range. And then a combination of Beedrill, Braviary can kind of clean up. But the biggest issue is getting this Toxic off on this my god, Gligar. So I could have done it right here because I did have Toxic on my Arcanine, but I really wanted E-Speed because another thing I need is damage on Tapu Koko to put it in range of Scarf Braviary. So I decided to go into Shaman here because he's clearly going for EQ, and it's really my only switch in at this point. So here I could have gone for a Toxic, hoping that he would stay in, but instead I go for Air Slash, and this is for 2 reasons. 1, he's clearly going Metagross, so Toxic would be useless. And 2, I don't want to reveal to him that my intention is to Toxic the Gligar. If I keep going for Air Slashes, maybe he thinks that I think he's immunity. So that's why I'm not going for Toxics. So I just keep going for Air Slash, because I do need this thing weakened a bit so Beedrill can take it out. So just 1 more Air Slash here, and it's going to be in Beedrill's knockoff range. So now it's in range. So just judging by the way he's double Toxic, and he can't really do anything to Shaman. So I'm just going to keep spamming Air Slash. Really no reason not to. As he goes back into Gligar, and this is what I was talking about. I've been going for Air Slash for like 4 turns in a row, so hopefully this is the turn I'll suddenly go for Toxic, where he won't expect it. So I go for a Toxic here, and land on the Gligar as he turns. So that's huge. I mean, now I'm pretty comfortably going to win. The only thing that would be really bad at this point is Scarf Coco. That would outspeed my Beedrill, my own Coco, and my Scarf Braviary. So that's the reason I switched Shaman out and go back, because even at this range, Shaman can live a Scarf Thunderbolt from this thing. So it's at 39. Scarf Thunderbolt does like 25. So I can save this thing. If he is Scarf Tapu Koko, I can just synth up at a later time and Toxic stall it to death. So I save Shaman here. going into my own Coco to take whatever move he wants to go for. And at this point, I am max speed, so I'm really hoping that I can win a speed tie here, because first of all, I would get the damage I need for Braviary to win, and second of all, it would tell me that he's not scarfed, but I don't get any of that, so I still don't know if to think of scarf or not, which is really annoying. But Beedrill's safe here because I do live a Dazzling Flame, so I force him out, and I can just go safely for a knockoff, and I do get a crit, but it doesn't really matter because I could have just gone for knockoff twice. And I'm pretty sure, actually, yeah, Shaman put that thing in range, so so yeah, that crit didn't matter. And now he goes this thing. I don't expect Aerial Ace to kill, and it doesn't. It would only kill if he was like no HP for some reason. But now I just need one more thing for Braviary to win, and that's damage on Coco, which I can get with extreme speed. So I bring this thing in. Now I could have killed that thing with Braviary, but I need to scout for Scarf first, so I sack Arcanine here to get the damage off. Then I scout for Scarf by going to Shaman. Once again, I live Thunderbolt from here, but he reveals himself to be Z, so now the game is over because Scarf Braviary comes in and they can just clean up because Gligar's revealed his whole set. Well, he hasn't revealed Defog, but you know his last move is Defog because he's not immunity. So yeah, all he can do is U-turn and Toxic. This is why Toxic was so crucial on this thing. Let Braviary get a 1v1. So the last few turns are just going to be him spamming Roost a little bit, and that's a win. So definitely some hacks in terms of, you know, that Snorlax versus Shaman situation, but you know, also some hacks in the beginning with the Gligar, so not an entirely skewed game. Yeah, but really good job to Illusion. He played that really well. If I didn't have Scarf Braviary here, that would have been a convincing win on his part. So now we're in the finals. So let's look at our last matchup versus Thunderwaver with the signature Thunderwaver user, Thundurus, which is a big threat. Now, he has a really interesting draft. I mean, Mega Glalie, it's just not something you expect to see in the finals, but it's definitely not something to sleep on either. He's a little bit weak to Mega Beedrill, as long as I can wear down that Ferrothorn. Thundurus is a pretty big threat to me, and Reuniclus is by far the biggest threat to me, so I have to build around that. So let's go to the team. Right, so Coco Beedrill's coming again. I'm bringing an interesting set here. HP Fire and Guardians of Alola. So basically the idea is if I get this thing on Ferrothorn, I go for Guardians of Alola. If he scouts for it, then I just go HP Fire as it switches back in. So either way, that Ferrothorn is going to go weakened because I need that thing weakened for Mega Beedrill. And I'm bringing Fell Stinger, because if he doesn't bring the right Scarfers, then Fell Stinger to finish off something like the Ferrothorn or the Reuniclus can sweep. And then if you look at his team, offensive Arcanine just goes straight through. I mean, his Flare Mist resists are Feeny and Zygarde. Zygarde's taking 1,000,000, and E-Speed finishes it off. I've got Wild Charge for Feeny, Close Combat for Tyranitar, so I can honestly just punch some holes with Arcanine, and he really doesn't have a good way to counter it. Right, then I bring Bizdef Piloswine. This is my Mega Glalie answer. Don't know why I brought Rock Slide, but I didn't really need a fourth move, so I guess Roar would have been good. I don't know. Shaman here, Spadef. Checks Thundurus, checks T-Tar, checks Zygarde 10. It's just a solid bring. HP Fire for the Ferrothorn. My best switch into Reuniclus also. But there's a problem here, because this is the only thing that can take hits from Reuniclus. But if it's a Calm Mind Reuniclus, I don't beat a 1v1 unless I get lucky with Seed Flare drops. And if it's a Trick from Reuniclus, then its Psychic is doing pretty much half. So I have to spam Synthesis, and I only have 8. And if he ever gets a Spadef drop the Psychic, then it's over. So I don't really have a good way of dealing with Reuniclus on my draft. I mean, of course, Beedrill, but a Trick Room Reuniclus I'm talking about here. So that's why I have to bring this Toxic Skill Swap Bronzong with Colbur so I don't get Pursuit Trapped. Full Spadef so I can take Shadow Ball. And the idea is get a Toxic off on the Reuniclus early in the game. And then, even though it's not taking damage, the Toxic counter is still counting. So my hope is that at some point it's going to be sitting in for a while thinking it's safe. I'm going to skill swap, and then Toxic's just going to take like half its health all at once because it's been sitting in for so long. Because I can like stall around with Spadef Shaman. So that's my plan on beating Reuniclus, which is a little bit, it's pretty gimmicky, so hopefully I can pull it off. So here's the game. Oops, alright. I'm just going to lead off the Arcanine because, as I said, it just demolishes him. But he calls it out really well with the Zygarde lead. But I do have Piloswine, which just counters every type of Zygarde. So he switches in Ferrothorn into an Arcanine. So, yeah, he's a madman. But I mean, I guess Piloswine's pretty obvious there. But I can just go straight back into Arcanine as he gets up his rocks. And now I can just start killing things. Flare, that Zygarde is not. It's just not even close to taking it. So Extreme Speed takes him out. Now I can live any hit from this Thundurus and Oko it with Flare Blitz, so just go for that. He Volt Switches. Yeah. He actually plays around this Arcanine really well. He goes into Tyranitar here. Now I was so close to clicking Flare Blitz again, but I just clicked Close Combat as he goes into Reuniclus. But yeah, that actually does a good amount, revealing to me that he's offensive, most likely Trick Room. And then he goes back into Tyranitar on this last turn to kill me with the recoil. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked Arcanine to do more than that, but it did take out Zygarde, essentially took out Tyranitar, and I also found out what Reuniclus set he brought, so it definitely put in a lot of work, so I can't be that sad about that exchange. So right, I just bring in Tapu Koko here, safely revenge it. He has no switch-ins, so I mean he could have gone Ferrothorn, but that just would have given me a Guardian Alola. So yeah, he goes Thundurus here, and there's literally no reason to ever go Thundurus on a Tapu Koko unless you're Scarf Sludge Wave. Every other set would just get bopped by T-Bolt, even if unless he's like maybe Spadef, I don't know. Yeah, but he's pretty much 100% Scarf Sludge Wave, so just go Bronzong here. I'm Colbur, so even if he goes for Dark Pulse, it's not a big deal. Got full Spadef, and from a Scarf Thundurus, it's not that powerful. So now, I was really hoping he would go into Reuniclus here to, you know, maybe go for a Shadow Ball, like I don't have a good switch in. But no, he goes Ferrothorn. So the Toxic Skill Swap plan is not working yet, but, you know. Right, so I go HP Fire Shaman here because Bronzong can't touch this thing, which is I probably should have brought HP Fire over Rock Tomb or something, but anyway, I go HP Fire Shaman, and he goes Thundurus to eat that up. But that's actually not bad for me, because after one more hit, it's going to be in range of Ice Shard from Piloswine, depending on its spread, so here I go into Bronzong again. I don't think he's going to, there's no way he's going for Dark Pulse, and he just goes for another Sludge Wave, so. Right, so at this point, I kind of have to make this double, because if he gets up any more hazards, I'm really in a bad spot, because Beedrill can only come in a few times after Iron Barbs, Rocks, and Spikes, so I'll make the Tapu Koko double here. And like I said before, I just go for Guardians of Alola safely, because even if he scouts by like going Glalie or something, I can just HP Fire the next turn, and either way, this thing's going to be in range of Beedrill, so yep. I'll take that trade any day of the week. I need Ferrothorn gone, so just go Beedrill to kill that thing off. Right. So now I'm in a pretty good position. I just need to be really careful about that Reuniclus, because it's a Trick Room. If he's like a Trick Room Calm Mind, then I can really easily lose. So he goes Thunderous. At this point, now that Coco's dead, I don't see why he would go for Sludge Wave anymore. I think he'd just go for an electric type move. So I go Piloswine, and he ends up going for Volt Switch. So that's good. Gives me a free turn to go for Rocks. He ends up going Glalie instead of Reuniclus. I don't know why. Maybe he didn't want Reuniclus taking an Earthquake. But I mean, Glalie's this is my Glalie counter. So as you can see, Fizz Death Piloswine with Big Fat is just taking nothing. So yeah, that Glalie's dead. And now he brings in Reuniclus. So now I have a decision to make. I clearly have to switch out because I need Ice Shard for Thunderous. But if I go into Bronzong as he goes for either a Calm Mind or a Shadow Ball, I pretty much lose this game. Because, for example, if he's Calm Mind Tango Berry, going Bronzong would be really bad. But the thing is, I really didn't think he'd be Calm Mind Tango Berry because I could just break the Tango Berry with a U-turn, sack something off, and then go back and U-turn again. So I'm pretty sure it's the Trick Room set and not the Calm Mind set. So I go hard Bronzong here. Thank God he doesn't go for a Calm Mind. So I am slower. So yeah, I get the Toxic off here. People are probably a little confused at this point. Live the Shadow Ball, and I get off the skill swap. So that's pretty much going to be game. Now Shaman can easily beat this 1v1. And even if he switches out and back in, he's going to be really weak, and I do have Seed Flare to finish this thing off. So yeah, that's going to be the game. I can just spam Synthesis, and let me tell you, it is so satisfying to watch that Reuniclus take Life Orb damage. It is food for the soul. So anyway, Thunderous comes in. I just spam Dazzling Gleam here. I mean, Sludge Wave is doing nothing. So, I mean, I could have Synthesised up here to, like, try to win 3-0, but it doesn't really matter. I just don't want to waste time. Just sack this thing to Sludge Wave and finish off the game with Ice Shard. So, yeah, I end up winning the whole thing, which is just definitely not something I expected. I barely got out of pools. It came down to head-to-head. And with my own draft, I actually lost in round 1 pool, so it's definitely a very surreal experience, but it was a ton of fun. So yeah, thanks to the Token Minorities for organizing this event, and if you've made it this far into the video, thanks for watching. Bye.